Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Sam, and this week I'm going to be doing another reading vlog. I have a few books out from the library that all came out in the last couple months, so I decided why not read them together. So as you would have seen from the thumbnail, this is the book stack that we have going on for the next week or so. The first book that I'm going to be reading in this video is Stormbreaker by Nisha J. Tooley. I did actually start this on Monday. It is now Wednesday today, but I am 190 pages into this book so far. I'm on chapter 31. In this one, we're set in like the year 3065 or something, 3067, in what's called New Manhattan. There is a map. Obviously, this is a library book, so I can't show the whole thing, but it's feeling kind of dystopian. Is it supposed to be dystopian? I don't know. But we're following our main character, who seems to have some sort of ability that she's hiding. And when they go to school, they go to this academy to take these tests to pledge to a house, then get a job or something. This is shelved as teen, so I would assume that this is like a YA book. I'm enjoying it, but our characters do feel quite young, and obviously that is understandable, but the situations that they're in terms of having to go through these trials or tests in order to be able to pledge to their house, I just wish we got more of an explanation or background of what our characters went through. I feel like we don't really see them training at all, and so it's kind of hard to believe that they have the stamina or endurance or capabilities to fulfill these tasks. And so that's really weird. And then also our main character, Poet, which most of the names in this book I just can't get behind. Like, it sounds like a nickname to me, but she makes these decisions during her tests that feel, I don't know, convenient. There's nothing backing her decisions. She's just trying to do anything but what she's being asked of. I don't know. It's a little, like, I'm having a good time while I'm reading, but at the same time, I just don't know what's necessarily going on. Like, if anything, it feels like nothing's really happening. There's a lot of like, oh, I'm going to this class, I'm going to this class, some info dumping. Or I have this bad interaction with my fiance because she's in like an arranged marriage. Once they graduate, the dynamics are a little strange, but I feel like it's okay. I don't know. I feel like I have thoughts, but either they're spoilery or it's just like a big question mark. Like, why are we doing this? Why is this happening? I don't particularly feel connected to any of our characters. All of our characters are kind of awful, so anyway, after I finish Stormbreaker, the next book that I'm going to be picking up is The Night We Met by Abby Jimenez. I actually really enjoyed the first book in this series. Kind of afraid about this one because it seems like people overall are not enjoying it because it's boyfriend's best friend. And from what I've heard, the boyfriend is around for a very long time. So we'll see. And then lastly, we have Broken Dove by Danny Francis. This is book 2 to Silver Elite. I'm curious. I'm intrigued to see what goes on next. It's been a while since I read Silver Elite. I guess it came out almost a year ago. Didn't do a reread, didn't do a recap. Maybe I will watch like a short video or something. But I feel like for the most part, it ended up being just like a military romance kind of vibe. But there was some plot twist at the end of the last book, so curious to see what that is all about. That's it. That's my intro. That's all I got so far. So I will check in once I have some more updates on Stormbreaker. Hello everybody, I have some book updates to share with you. First of all, I did finish Stormbreaker yesterday. I don't have a lot of thoughts about this book. I do feel like the second half was a bit stronger. I feel like our main character, Poet, she definitely showed her age. And that's fine, understandable. This is a teen book, so it makes sense. There's just so many times that she was taking things at face value and trusting people that she's never even met before. Like, she's not asking any questions, which just felt a little strange. Like, if you're having these concerns about the things that you have been taught your whole life and you're still just blindly trusting everything, little suspicious. The romance in this was also kind of quick. I wish it was drawn out a bit more, which in a sense it kind of was, but there's also some elements that like felt like it didn't need to happen yet. I had a good time. Like, homegirl was going through it, learning things that she never thought that she would have to learn or go through, and yeah, just very much kind of relatable in terms of the time of life she is in. One thing that really did bother me is there was a lot of telling and not showing. There was a lot of times that I was reading this and I was like, we're just having conversations with people. We're not actually seeing them train in the gym, seeing them train in their training sessions. I think I mentioned with their test, they had to do these very physical, demanding tasks, and we were told that they had training up to this point, but we didn't get really an explanation. I feel like I'm just jumping all over the place, but in this world, at the school they're at, there's, I think, 3 different factions. I don't know if they called it factions or if they called it something else. There's these 3 different groups, I guess, and depending on which group of society that you came from, you are most likely going to pledge to that same group of society. I didn't understand. Either I missed it and it was totally my fault, or it wasn't really explained what the different groups kind of represented and the kind of jobs that they would have once they graduated. That is kind of my piece on this book. Book 2 comes out like September 1st or something, so very excited to be able to continue this series very quickly. I think this is supposed to be a trilogy, so nice, short and sweet. Next, as I mentioned, the second book that I would be reading in this reading vlog is The Night We Met by Abby Jimenez. I am like halfway through this book already. I was flying through this yesterday and today, and I have been enjoying myself. This is a weird one because our main female character, Larissa, has a boyfriend who they all met at a concert, and she decided to go home with Mike. But due to some circumstances, she ends up befriending Mike's best friend, Chris, and Chris is our male main character in this book. And the issue with this book is we get both Larissa and Chris's POVs. Obviously, this is not a book about the relationship between Larissa and Mike, but we really see more of Larissa's relationship with Mike in Chris's chapters, because we get to learn about the things that Mike is doing and why he's doing them. So the relationship that Mike and Larissa have together is just weird to begin with. And obviously having this background knowledge of Mike and the conversations that Mike is having with Chris about his relationship makes the dynamic really weird as the reader. The things that seemingly Larissa doesn't know makes sense as to why they're still together and sort of that situation, but like there's just also a lot of things that, because we don't see a lot of the interactions in that relationship, Mike seems like an even worse person because we don't know what conversations that they have had. One of them being Larissa has a very severe nut allergy, and so you see on numerous occasions Chris is going out of his way to make sure that Larissa is accommodated and safe, like her situation is safe so that she can eat and participate. And Mike seemingly doesn't do any of those things. It's just a little weird. The dynamic is weird. I don't want to like give so many like little things away, but very in the beginning of the book, Larissa and Chris are out together and they find a dog behind a dumpster, and Chris takes it in, but for reasons he can't take care of it to the extent that he would like to, and so him and Larissa make a deal that she watches him half the time, watches the dog half the time. But then they start saying that they're co-parenting this dog when in reality he could have just hired her to take care of it. So like that dynamic is really weird because it also wasn't necessarily explained that she would take this dog to her house and care for it for however long, but like that's not her dog. It's Chris's dog. So that part's just really weird. There are parts that I'm like smiling and giggling and like I'm having a good time. I seem to like our main characters. There's just some aspects to the relationships in every single configuration of this triangle that they are in that are just kind of weird. And I feel like we don't have enough information for me to fully grasp everything, especially because we're in two of the people's heads. And I know that the next book in the series is supposed to be Mike's like redemption story. I think. I'm pretty sure that's what I've heard. And I get it. Mike needs a redemption. Even at this point, he is going through stuff that he is not telling Larissa because mental health, I guess. And so it makes sense. You know, some people just aren't the right people to care for each other. I don't know. I'm enjoying it. I'm hoping to finish it quickly so we can start on the next book. But yeah, I'm enjoying this. I don't know what Abby Jimenez has done differently with these books. Maybe I need more taboo, dramatic situations. These ones are a lot more real, I feel like, for me. That's it. Those are my book updates. Lots of things to share because I did not do as many check-ins as I thought because I was just reading and reading and reading, having a good time. I didn't mention, I think Stormbreaker is like a 3.5 stars. Had a great time. I thought it was a good book, but yeah, nothing super crazy that I was super connected to. Hello everybody, I wanted to do my check-in since it is now Monday. Over the weekend I did end up finishing The Night We Met by Abby Jimenez. I think I'm going to rate this 4 stars. I did really enjoy my time with it. It felt like a very, I don't know necessarily the story felt very realistic, but our characters felt very realistic. But just the dynamics, I guess, point of views that we got. Understandably, we don't want to be rooting for Larissa and Mike because that's not what the story is about. But there's so much of their relationship that we didn't get to see, even though they were together for the majority of the book. It was really weird to believe some of the things that Larissa did believe, or just like hard to understand their dynamic and where that relationship was going, I guess. I just feel like some of these situations could have been handled a lot better. And we're just, I don't know. It was kind of, there's things about it that was kind of strange. Although I definitely did enjoy reading it. I did enjoy the characters. Chris is definitely, I don't know, in some sense he seems like an enabler, but in other sense he seems like he's just trying to be a good friend. So that's why it's very, feels like these are very real characters. So I did end up enjoying this one. Surprise, surprise, the general consensus is people don't like a book and I enjoy it. Anyway, and then after I finished The Night We Met, I did start Broken Dove by Danny Francis. I did watch like a 13-minute recap of Silver Elite before I jumped into this. There was a lot that I forgot happened. So glad that I watched that before going into this. I've only read like 45 pages of this so far, so definitely not very far into this at all. I'm hoping to be able to read this fairly quickly because I am going out of town at the end of the week and I don't want to have to bring this with me if I don't have to, but I'm also not going to put pressure on myself to try to finish it in the next like 4 days because I do have other stuff to do and tomorrow is my birthday, so you know, with work and packing and everything else that I have to do on a regular basis, I'm not gonna try to force my way through this, but this is a hefty book. So if I don't have to bring this with me, that would be ideal. that is all I have for now. I will check in tomorrow, probably. Hopefully I have a good chunk of that read. Like I said, we'll see what happens. Hello everybody, we are well overdue for some book updates, and to wrap up this video, I was out of town for a week, which is when I ended up finishing Broken Dove by Dani Francis. I don't really have a lot to say about this book, to be honest. I enjoyed my time with it, but I did find it to be pretty slow. There wasn't a lot happening. We got to see an expanse of the world, meet some new characters, which was very interesting. Some very morally gray choices, or just like questionable choices being made in this book, which was definitely interesting to see that more realistic human experience of people making choices that they think are the right choices based on the information that they have. Romance was very interesting in this. The cliffhanger was, I don't think necessarily wild, but definitely left a lot of questions. So yeah, I can't remember what I rated this. I think like 3 or 3.5 stars. Definitely intrigued to continue this series and read the next book when I assume it's coming out next year. I kind of expected it to be a bit better. And I find it really funny that I feel like Silverly took the world by storm last year, and I have not seen a single person read Broken Dove. But that is everything for this video. I feel like every time I have big plans to do lots of b-roll and it just never works out. I need to really work to try to find a good routine back in my life. But that is everything for today's video. Let me know what some of the books that you have read most recently are. I would love to chat with you, or if you have read any of these books that I read in today's video. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.